Today on Dr. Phil.
My ex-husband is controlling and delusional.
A jealous ex.
She says you accuse her of being with other men, but she's divorced.
A needy ex.
You call when you need money.
Which one?
She says you are stalking her.
It's not true.
She says she changed the lock. She come in the window.
This is crazy, man. This is insane.
Is telling the truth.
Are you giving him mixed messages?
I don't believe I am.
I think you are. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Okay, I want you to listen to this emotional plea from a woman begging to be left alone.
Get out! Get out! Go now! Go away, Freddie! Get out of it! Get out! Go on, psycho! Go away!
Well, that was Jennifer, who says her ex-husband, Freddie, is obsessed with her and absolutely consumed with getting back together. Now, Jennifer says Freddie watches her through her windows at night and has even snuck into her house to go through her dresser drawers looking for any evidence she is with someone else. Now, this is an ex. Jennifer says Freddie has told her he considers them still married and refuses to let her go.
Ex-husband Freddie is controlling, abusive, psychotic, and delusional. We have been divorced for almost 4 months. In Freddie's mind, we are still married. Freddie has become my stalker. There hasn't been a single day that Freddie doesn't show up at my house unannounced. He'll drive by, knock on my door, tell me he saw the light on, wants to know what I'm doing awake still. This is the curtain I hung up to keep Freddie from looking in my windows. Freddie has called me 300 times in 1 week. One time when we got into an argument, I called the police. After the police left, Freddie climbed in through a living room window. Freddie's always accusing me of cheating on him. I'm cheating with anybody he can think of. His ex-boss, the neighbors, guys at church. He came in the house and noticed the smell of an air freshener in my daughter's room and told me I sprayed Lysol in there because I had been having sex in there. He told my 6-year-old daughter to check my body for signs of me having sex with other men. Freddie told me if I ever dated another man, he would rip their head off. My greatest fear is that Freddie could snap at any moment, possibly kill me. He's told me that he doesn't believe in divorce. It's till death do us part. We'll be married till one of us dies.
Okay, Jennifer, are you afraid of him?
Yes, I am.
And you're divorced, but you say he believes you're still married.
Yes. He told me in his mind we're still married.
Okay, so he comes over to your house unannounced how often?
At least once a day, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day.
You've changed the locks,
Yes.
but he still gets in. How does he get in?
If I don't have the deadbolt on, he'll use his knife to push the lock into the bottom lock and get in.
Have you reported that?
No.
Why?
I'm afraid of him.
Now, he's pointed to your crotch in front of your 6-year-old daughter and said, that's the problem right there.
Yes.
What does he mean by that?
And he says that's the reason why we fight and argue.
Because you cheat.
Yes.
So why does he think you're here today?
For a pain pill addiction.
You're taking pain pills secondary to a car accident that you had.
Yes.
But are you taking more than you were prescribed?
Yes.
Why?
Coping mechanism to deal with Freddie's harassment.
Where are you getting these pain pills?
I get them from my doctor.
He gives you double what you...
No. Freddie buys me if I run out. He goes on the street and buys them for me.
Freddie's here, by the way. He says he loves his wife more than anything. He also says, and I quote, "The divorce has driven me crazy, and I'm fighting to save my relationship with Jennifer." Take a look.
The reason why Jennifer and I aren't together is because of her addiction to pain pills. She's not herself. I just want to make it very clear that if she was in her right mind and told me she didn't want to be with me, I would move on. But she's not in her right mind. She's a total mess and a shipwreck. Right now, I'm fighting to rekindle our relationship. I do a lot for Jennifer and the family since the divorce. I bring her food so she doesn't have to cook for the kids. I bring her money. I pay all the bills. We are divorced, but basically everything's the same. Jennifer has a habit of keeping me away until she needs something. I haven't been able to move on from this divorce because I love her with all my heart. I really think that we could make things work. I still wear my wedding band on my right hand as a symbol of hope. Maybe things will rekindle and we can work things out.
Okay, Freddie, I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
You're divorced for several months now.
Yes.
But you're not respecting the boundaries of the divorce, correct?
I guess you could say that, maybe, yeah.
Well, I did say that. What would you say?
I guess you could say that
Would you say it's because she's addicted to pain pills?
Yeah, I
Has that fuzzied her mind up?
Most definitely.
Right. And where does she get those?
Actually, you'd have to ask her on that. So
I did. She said she gets them from you.
She gets them from me. My money. My money pays for it, yes.
Okay. But you object to her taking them. You say if she wasn't taking them, then she would be more clear-headed,
yes,
and you wouldn't be in this divorce situation.
Yes.
So why buy them for her?
She
I mean, if that's the problem, quit giving them to her.
Absolutely understand what you're saying, Dr.
Okay,
Phil.
thank y'all for coming.
Yeah, we're good. We can go. Thank you.
I mean,
yeah.
If her problem is she's abusing drugs, quit giving her the drugs.
She's going to get them elsewhere, Dr. Phil.
But she doesn't have any money. She says that she doesn't have a job.
Everything in the home will be gone. She'll get the money.
She's pawned things.
Absolutely.
She says she's pawned things because you won't give her the money for the essentials for the house.
I'm pawning things to pay the bills around the house.
We're in a situation here where Jennifer feels that Freddie has tried to control her. Has he done that, or is she making that up? Has he tried to control my staff during this whole process? We'll get some insight into all of this when we come back.
I wasn't allowed to listen to certain music that he didn't like. If I got my nails done, I got accused of doing it for another man. Freddie cut me off from my family and my friends.
I was not trying to control her. I was trying to wake her up. Her addiction to pain pills has changed her from being loving, kind-hearted, to just total darkness.
He's the reason I take so many pills. It has become my coping mechanism to deal with Freddie's harassment.
Jennifer, once upon a time, was excellent with finance, but since the addiction, everything's about pills and money. I would give her money, I never see it again. I know where it's going. It's going for pain pills. If Jennifer doesn't get off the pain pills, Jennifer will never see happiness.
She says she's doing that to cope with your hyper-control and stalking of her.
All right.
She says you are stalking her and that you controlled her during the marriage and you're controlling her now. Is that true?
No. It's not true.
She says she changed the locks, you come in the window. She says you go through her drawers. You accuse her of having sex with other men. She says you've pointed to her crotch in front of your 6-year-old daughter and said, that's the problem right there. Did you do that?
I did do that.
In front of your 6-year-old daughter?
I didn't pay any attention. I flipped and I did it. I'm not going to lie to you about a thing, Dr. Phil. I did do that.
She says you accuse her of being with other men now.
When she tells me that she's not interested in moving on and it,
Well, but she's divorced.
yes, absolutely.
She has the right to be with other men.
Absolutely.
Now.
And if she tells me that she doesn't want me, Dr. Phil, it's not a problem with me. She's not told me that.
I've told you that several times, Freddie.
Dr. Phil, honest to God, I thought I was coming out here to get her help. I'm out of the picture now.
Do
It's
you
a
not
done
like
deal.
the questions I'm asking?
Dr. Phil, it's nothing about that. I didn't have any idea that this is what this show was going to be about. That's
You don't know what this show's about. I'm just getting started.
I didn't know that's the way she felt, Dr. Phil.
Are you giving him mixed messages?
I don't believe I am, Dr. Phil.
I think you are.
Okay.
I do think you're giving him mixed messages.
Okay.
Because I think you call him for money when you need money. You say, I can't move on.
I never call him for money, Dr. Phil. He knows when the bills are due. He's supposed to pay me a set amount every month that he will not pay.
No set amount's been set. It was set when I didn't show up for court, and then pay the bills. That's what they told me. I got to pay, make sure the bills are paid.
Nobody told you that. That's what you said. You would agree to pay the bills. You'll pay the bills, and if I need something to call you, you'll bring it over.
Did you call my staff member this morning and tell him you were in Texas?
Oh, that's playing. Yeah, that's playing. I was joking, Dr. Phil. I was joking. But
yeah, that's a knee slapper. What the hell are you?
Her and I were joking back and forth both ways prior to this morning.
Yeah, because we watch how people behave during this process, and you refuse to fly to the show separate from Jennifer.
I never said Jennifer. I said my kids.
You refused to stay in a separate hotel than Jennifer.
Never refused anything with Jennifer. It was my kids.
You came to Jennifer's home unannounced during her phone interview and refused to leave.
I had no idea that she was on the phone with...
The staff member and Jennifer had to have a code word for when Freddie entered the house in an attempt to hear the interview, and it was interrupted on 10 different occasions, correct?
Yes.
We generally talk to our guests 5 or 6 times. You've called the producers like 30 times. Want to know what we were going to have for breakfast here? It didn't like what we were going to have for breakfast.
I didn't know until yesterday that I was
You wanted an egg McMuffin here.
Didn't know that I was leaving at 6:30 in the morning, and where we're staying at, they never started serving breakfast till 6:30. So I didn't know what we was going to eat. I'm sorry, Dr. Phil.
Are you afraid of him?
Yes.
You say he's broken into your house by jimmying the lock with a knife after you changed the locks.
Yes.
You never told me to do that?
You know how to get in.
Have you not
because
told me
when I got
to get
locked
in?
out of the house, you knew how I got in.
This is crazy, man. This is insane.
Did you say you know how to get in?
Yes, because he asked to wash clothes at my house when I wasn't there. My laundry's outside of my house. And he had my son. And he said, well, give me the key. I said, no, I'm not giving you the key because I'm afraid he might go make a copy of the key. And I said, you know how to get in. The top lock's not locked. That was on one occasion when I was not home.
So what did you mean by that?
That if he needed to get in there for my son, he could.
Meaning what? You know how to pick the lock?
Yeah, he knows how to get in with his knife.
See, that's what I mean. You know, in your defense, I do think you're getting mixed messages.
I promise you I am. I wouldn't be here.
I do think you're getting mixed messages. I think you are a controller. I think you're stalking her to a degree.
I'm not perfect.
Seriously, I do. I think you're stalking her. I think you are controlling. I think you've got some kind of warped sense of boundary here. But I do think you're sending him some kind of mixed messages here. And I think you call when you need money. You're taking drugs from him when you want the drugs. He controls you with money, right?
Yes.
He says, I'm going to cut off the money. You don't do what I want you to do, I'm not going to pay the bills.
Yes.
And so, therefore, you don't want to upset him, right?
I don't know how to act on him.
You don't want to go to work, obviously.
I'm going to tell you what I think's going on and what I think needs to happen here when we come back.
Abuse started with hair pulling, and then it would go to slapping me across the face, grabbing my throat. Freddie's told me that he's never punched me like he would a man, and so therefore he's not really beating me up. And I 100% rely on Freddie financially.
I do a lot for Jennifer and the family. I bring her money. I pay all the bills.
He refuses to pay spousal support. He will only pay for the bills when they're due.
I bring her things now. I don't just give her cash like I once did.
This completely ties my hands because I've had to go pawn my possessions to pay for things that Freddie refuses to pay for.
Freddie says he loves his wife with every fiber of his being, but Jennifer says that Freddie's love hurts, literally.
Being married to Freddie was horrible because he was verbally, mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive. Abuse started with hair pulling, and then it would go to slapping me across the face, grabbing my throat, punching me in my chest. One time, we had both been drinking. I left to go get some food. He accused me of trying to get with another man. He started slapping me around. He was pulling my hair. By the time it was over with, I was left with 2 black eyes and a busted lip, knots all over my head. One time, we were arguing, and he slapped me across my face right in front of my daughter. Freddie's told me that he's never punched me like he would a man, and so therefore he's not really beating me up. Every time he gets violent or physical with me, the next day he acts like nothing ever happened.
Okay. Have you abused her physically?
Both of us have, yeah, back and forth. She's beat me like a man. I know I'm painted as the crazy one here, but I promise you, we both are probably half crazy. You know, it's not just me. I promise you, she's hit me way more times than I have her.
But you have hit her?
I've slapped her, yes. I've never hit her with her fist, but I've slapped her.
Mm-hmm. You've hit her in the chest?
Yeah.
Slapped her in the face?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not proud of that, Dr. Phil, at all.
You did have an assault charge against you, right?
A couple of years ago, yeah.
And, well, the date was September 12th of 2012.
Right.
You had an assault for bodily injury, family violence.
A scratch on her upper lip for me trying to slap a cigarette out of her mouth, and my fingernail got her upper lip.
You say, yeah, we've hit each other. I've hit her in the chest. I have slapped her. I haven't hit her with a fist. Not right. Shouldn't have done it. You're exactly right.
Right.
And I don't care. It's not right for her to hit you.
Right.
But let me tell you, there's never a justification for a man to put his hand on a woman in anger at any time, for any reason, under any theory.
I agree.
It is a cowardly thing to do. You just don't do that. If she's hitting you, leave. If she's hitting you, run away. If she's hitting you, call the police. If she's hitting you, run out the door, get in your car, leave, do whatever you do. And you're doing this in front of the children, correct?
Yes.
She says you've pulled her hair, that you've hit her in the face during arguments, and if you've hit him, you shouldn't do that either.
I know.
I mean, come on, what are y'all doing? You have children in the home. You're doing this in front of your children? Yes. You don't do that in front of your children, and if you do, you're from Texas. I guarantee you Child Protective Services will get involved, and somebody besides you will raise those children. You do not do that in front of your children. Next, Freddie claims to be a great father, but I want him to see what his 6-year-old daughter left in the hotel bathroom. It should serve as a serious wake-up call. I'll show him what I'm talking about when we come back. What's that tell you?
Tells all. Sad to know what she sees and how she feels about me.
You found a note that your daughter had written in the hotel this morning?
Yeah, she wrote it last night.
And your daughter is how old?
6.
And here's half of the note. It says, I love Jesus, Mom, Christian, Nathan, Jonathan. And then part 2, I hate the devil, Dad, demons, and monsters. That's what she wrote. What's that tell you?
Tells all. Sad to know what she sees and how she feels about me.
To think a beautiful 6-year-old little girl went into the bathroom of a hotel room in Los Angeles and felt moved to sit there and write this, because at 6 years old, this little girl's heart should be filled with joy.
Yes.
And laughter And the two of you have not orchestrated things in a way that that's what she feels.
I wanted to stop for my kids.
I am prepared, following this show, to provide both of you with the help necessary to learn how to put this together in a constructive way. To be a father where she sits down and draws her daddy as a hero, draws her daddy as the man that gets up and lets the sun out every morning just before she wakes up. You want to be the most powerful role model in any child's life is a same-sex parent. What are you modeling for this child?
Terrible.
You need to get off these drugs. You need to get on your 2 feet. You need to get a job. You need to get a job. You need to not be depending on some man to take care of you. You need to get your self-worth. You need to get your self-esteem. You need to stand up. You need to stand tall. You need to make her proud.
That's what I want to do.
Thank you, Dr. Phil.
When people come here, this isn't the end. This is the beginning with us. This is the beginning right here. Okay? Next, it was a relationship that started with many of the same problems that Jennifer says she's gone through with Freddie, and Freddie says he has gone through in this relationship. But it was a relationship that ended one tragic night, leaving 5 children without a mother and a community in complete shock. We'll talk about that after the break. We'll be right back.
I was 10 years old when Sam killed my mother. The lights were off in the room, and I tried to wake my mother up. There was blood everywhere. It was a terrible sight to see. I ran downstairs to wake up my brothers.
I stood at the end of her bed, and I looked, and I saw her laying there motionless.
It was nearly 15 years ago when police officer Brenda Sexton was brutally beaten to death by her then boyfriend, Sam Lupo, leaving behind 5 young children.
I was 10 years old when Sam killed my mother. That morning, I ran into my mother's room because I heard my little sister, Morgan, crying. The lights were off in the room, and I tried to wake my mother up. I lifted the pillow up, and at that point, I realized that my mother was no longer with us. Her face was caved in. I really couldn't recognize her at all, and it was a terrible sight to see. There was blood everywhere, on the floor, on the wall, on the bed. It was on the baseball bat that he used. It was pretty bad. I ran downstairs to wake up my brothers. To this day, I regret telling my brothers to go look. When we went upstairs, it was an unbelievable sight that I'll never forget. When Tony moved the pillow from her face, I was kind of in disbelief. I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It wasn't her beautiful face. The face was gone.
When I went upstairs to my mother's room, I was by myself. I stood at the end of her bed, and I looked, and I saw her laying there motionless. I fell into immediate shock, and I ran downstairs into my brother's arms. My brother Tony had grabbed my sister. We started walking down the street. An off-duty cop asked us what was wrong and why we were crying. I remember being in the back of the car and seeing the ambulance having a black bag. And at that time, I realized that my mother was never coming back.
I was away at a church retreat when it happened. When I was leaving for my church retreat, she came up behind me, gave me a hug, and said, "I love you." And I said, "I love you too." That's one of my favorite memories that I have of my mom.
As you can only imagine, losing their mother at such a young age has had a great effect on these 5 siblings.
I miss my mom every day. Not having my mom has prevented me from wanting to move forward and have children and have a big, beautiful wedding, because those are supposed to be happy moments. And there is going to be a lot of sadness with her not being there.
It's very hard for me to think about getting married and having kids, because my kids aren't going to be able to meet their grandmother. At some point, I did feel a little guilt because as a child, I felt that maybe I was part of the reason the domestic violence was going on within my household. But as I grew older, I realized it was not my fault.
If kids see abuse, they should definitely speak up to somebody in their family or somebody that they trust so they can protect their family.
I'm very angry with Sam. Not only did he take my mother away from me, but he hurt my brothers and my little sister. And for that, I can never forgive him.
I can honestly say that I hate Sam for what he's done to my family.
I have forgiven him, but there is a side of me that I can't. It's like God says to forgive and forget, but it's hard. It's very hard.
I was 7 months old when my father murdered my mother. I hear a lot of stories about my mom from my siblings. In a way, I feel close to her because I've heard a lot of wonderful things about her, and everyone always says that I remind them of her.
Well, as you all know, my wife Robin has made it her mission to help and empower and protect women and children being affected by domestic violence, which is why she created her foundation, When Georgia Smiled, in honor of her mother. And when I came home and told Robin about this story, she immediately wanted to meet these courageous young adults. So I'm glad you guys are all here. So thank you so much for being here. So this has been 15 years, right, since this took place. From the kids' point of view, what's it like when domestic violence takes that worst turn and you're left with the aftermath and you've lost a parent in this way? Sam Lupo took your mother away. What's that do to you in the aftermath?
It leaves you broken. I have to tell stories about my mom. She doesn't get to meet her mom. She's not here to help, guide them through what they're going through. And there's a lot of people, like my Aunt Patricia, who comes along and helps us, but it's not the same.
It's not at all. It's hard.
Yeah.
Not being able to wake up and see her. It's hard not being able to grow up in one home.
Yeah, because you didn't all grow up in the same home.
No.
You older children were separated and broken off from the family, right?
Yeah.
So, and you do tell stories to you guys, right? And so you have to hear about it from them.
Yes.
And that, it's not the same, right?
No, not at all.
I was only 6 years old, but I remember everything about her. I remember every morning after she'd get off duty, we'd all go and lay in her bed together. Even if she was on patrol, she would come pick us up in the squad car, take us on a ride, just do something, and just stuff like that, no matter what it was. She was a single mother of 5, and I don't know how she did it, but she found a way, and she found a way to keep us together while she's still here.
Your mother was a brave, courageous woman. Not only did she devote her life to her job of helping other people, she was a police officer, and you know that she loved all of you dearly. And I know how proud you are, all of you are, of her. And I'm happy for you that you have those stories and that you have that love for her. And I'm so sorry that some of you had to witness the violence in the house and hear the violence. And that's the very reason I've been wanting to devote my efforts to domestic violence, because it is a horrific, horrific life for a young child. And I just want to tell all of you, I'm very sorry that you had to go through that.
Let's take a break. Next, who is the man who committed this horrific crime against these children's mother? You won't believe where he is and what he's doing now. We'll be right back. Talking with 5 courageous children that lost their mother in a domestic violence situation. Robin has When Georgia Smiled, a foundation that she has created to help prevent domestic violence, and has been working with women all over America to educate, raise awareness, talk about all of the things that people need to know to not let this continue to be such a silent epidemic in America. Take a look, if you will. This is inmate pen pals, and here's what this, look at this. Who is this Italian blue-eyed wolf, and what is he all about? There is only one way to get those answers. You must write directly to me. I'm a free-spirited, 43 years old, grounded by 3 amazing children that I'm determined to have a brighter future with. I don't play games, but I can be a kind, generous, supportive, and loving friend if given the opportunity. So if you're in need of a friend and you're willing to build a true friendship and fulfill your needs and passions, this Italian blue-eyed wolf awaits your letters. Sammy the Wolf Lupo. Now, this is a post that's put up by the man that bludgeoned your mother to death.
Yeah.
What do you say to yourself when you see...
I'm disgusted.
When you see that?
I'm disgusted.
I'm angry. I'm very angry. She can't live her life anymore. And she did nothing but help people.
He's having a future with his kids. He's gonna have no future with Morgan.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about this is to just underline, emphasize, highlight, and bold. You need to look at who you're talking to on the internet, because it takes so little to do a background check, to find out who you're talking to, and look at the pain that's been left in the wake of this individual. Be careful who you're talking to on the internet, because you find out what's really going on. Joining us now is Rebecca Dar, the Chief Executive Officer of WINGS, a program that helps women and children from all over the country who are trying to escape domestic violence. When she heard this story, she wanted to help and dedicate a memorial garden and play area in Brenda's name. Rebecca, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, tell us about WINGS and tell us about this play area and what you're doing.
So WINGS is a domestic violence shelter, and we also have long-term support so that women who are trying to leave don't have to rely on anyone for financial means. We help them with all of that. And that's the second part of shelter that's so important. And what people don't know is there are not a lot of shelter beds available. In Chicago, it's become particularly difficult. For the entire city of Chicago, we have 112 shelter beds total. So last year, when the city settled a lawsuit with the strip club for back taxes, they dedicated the money to building the first new domestic violence shelter in Chicago. And WINGS got the contract to do that. And so we asked the city to give us this empty lot and building, which was an old police department building. After we were given that, I got a call from the police commander telling me about Brenda. And
so the building that you have been given and that are now redoing and all is the precinct where your mother worked. This was her old building.
It was her building.
That is now becoming this shelter that you're building there. What a great, what a great legacy.
And it's beautiful. And we talked about this at the summit we held just last year. And I have to say, I have a surprise for Rebecca. In honor of Brenda, I would like to give Rebecca and WINGS a donation of $10,000 from my foundation, When Georgia Smiles, to help with the cost of building this beautiful garden and play area.
Robin, thank you so much. I did not.
Well, that's just great.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so next, they were just 16, 12, and 8 when their mother was killed in a jealous rage by their stepfather. They recently confronted him and are on a mission to help all women and children affected by domestic violence. We're going to talk to them after the break. We'll be right back. Well, we've been speaking with 5 siblings who lost their mother to a horrific act of domestic violence. And I want to add 3 incredible women to this conversation about domestic violence. They know exactly what these 5 siblings have gone through because 23 years ago, their stepfather shot their mother, Linda, 6 times in a jealous rage, leaving them without a mom. Please welcome Summer, Amanda, and Kelly. So, guys, thank you so much. First off, let me say I'm so sorry for your loss. I know it's been many years, but time it just doesn't heal all of those wounds. And you guys have decided to really take some action to let that not ever go away, but turn into something positive. Tell me what you're doing.
We didn't want our mother dying in vain, and to use her death to help other women and children in abusive situations. We wanted to really recognize what abuse looks like, and then more importantly, to let victims know that they're not alone, and really focus on what healthy relationships look like and other communication tools other than violence or controlling behavior. So that's what we started Linda's Voice.
Summer, did it help when you started Linda's Voice, did it have a healing effect?
I definitely think that it was one of the most therapeutic journeys that we've gone through, because not only are we talking about our experience and how we've gone through it because we've had one another, we help other people as well, and we hear other stories of women who've turned their tragedy into triumph.
We just thought if we could face the biggest fear of who kind of taught us about destructive relationships, it could help change our view and not being so fearful of them.
Yeah, and we're going to put a link on our website to lindasvoice.org so people can find it.
I'm very, very proud of all 3 of you beautiful women because you've taken steps to help yourselves heal and also to honor your mother. But also, I think it's very important for all of us to step up and admit that domestic violence, to be a victim of domestic violence, is not our fault. It's not your fault. It's not anyone else's. It is not the victim's fault. And it is okay to talk about it, and that's what you're doing. I'm very proud of you, and I really honor you, and I love that you are honoring your mother. Thank you. To help with Brenda's Memorial Garden, I want to encourage all of you at home to donate to When Georgia Smiled. 100% of the donations will go directly to support Brenda's Garden. And I also want to encourage you all to visit lindasvoice.org to see all of the great work Summer, Amanda, and Kelly are doing in honor of their mother.
As a gift to Brenda's children, I'd like to invite them all to a one-day resolution retreat in Chicago held by the president of our advisory board, Dr. Frank Lawless, in order to help them on their path toward resolution and healing. Also, we spoke about addiction today, and I'm proud to say that Dr. Lawless has a book called Psychoneuroplasticity Protocols for Addiction, and it's available now on Amazon.com. And this is truly a breakthrough work in the treatment of addiction, and I'm really, really proud to know him, and I'm proud of this breakthrough work in addiction. I want to thank all of my guests today, and a very special thanks to Rebecca for the great work that she and Wings are doing. Also, thanks to Dr. Carrie Brown in Marietta, California, for assisting our guests. Thank you for being here so long.
Bounce, bounce, all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out. Bounce, 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 all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out.
You warned me 1,000 times, memories can kill ya, but I didn't hear ya. I thought that I could fly, but woke up on the asphalt. I swear there was the last time. I've always been naive. Call it